Hey, this is Sky. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I want to welcome some of the new subscribers. Let's get right into today's video. Have you ever noticed that there's an attack on manhood? Without a doubt there is, and it's not a conspiracy. Let's just lay it out a little bit. I'm not going to get into the whole history of the emasculation of the Western male, but that has something to do with why we are where we are right now with all these weak men. It feels like, I mean, it's not true, you can't speak in all or nothing terms because that makes you an idiot, but it feels like it to me, an old guy, that everyone younger than me is emasculated, weak. And I don't blame you. I mean, I kind of do, but I don't think it's really entirely your own fault. You've been tricked. You've been manipulated. You know, I'm old enough to remember the before time. When things were different. When I was born, it was literally a different society. Gentrification hadn't happened yet. We were still kind of operating in the old world. The way things had been since the 40s, 50s, 60s is the way it was in the 70s and possibly the early 80s, but the 80s was really when things changed. Things changed in the 80s. I noticed the media, it's an easy way to notice that there's a difference between the way men were back when I was a kid and the way men are now, as you can just simply look at TV shows. For example, I mean, think about some of the shows that we have now and then compare them to the shows that we used to have. Think about the family values, the values in general, the character, the virtue that was promoted in all shows, from the cartoons to the movies, and everything was promoted as a value. You had to learn something. It wasn't just mere entertainment. Even in Bugs Bunny, even in Woody Woodpecker, something that may have been somewhat meaningless, there was always a value system promoted and taught. We had My Three Sons, Father Knows Best, Little House on the Prairie, The Waltons, My Two Sons, The Partridge Family, The Brady Bunch. You notice the pattern with all these? They're all family oriented. They're all mother and father married, both functional. Neither of them have bad dysfunctional qualities. And then we evolved into shows even like Roseanne or The Simpsons back when I was younger, and they came out in the early 90s, late 80s. They were a destruction of the American family to show how dysfunctional it was. That was just the first wave. The second wave, it got worse and got worse. And now we find ourselves in the place that we are today with the media, where you see almost every single TV show has an emasculated, out of shape man who's stupid. That's one aspect that you'll notice in all commercials, all cartoons, all movies, all TV shows, is men, particularly white men, but all men are cast and their dialogue is written as the character as being stupid, unintelligent, a dumbass. He may be a lovable dumbass, but nonetheless he's stupid, not worth going to advice to. My Three Sons, Father Knows Best, Little House on the Prairie, The Waltons, those types of shows, the children were always looking at father as a mentor, a provider, someone that they would go and get advice from, good advice. He wasn't a lovable oaf. That's what you've turned into. That's what the American man has turned into. Is either the lovable oaf who's just full of flaws, but you still love him for some reason, like Homer Simpson, he's an overgrown emasculated child. Homer Simpson is literally one of the worst types of people on the planet Earth. He's part of the problem. Those types of people are disgusting in real life. They're awful, awful, awful people. And this is your hero. This is who you laugh at. You love Homer Simpson. We were tricked into following a new kind of man. Father knows best turned into father knows worst. Father's an out-of-control, violent psychopath. That's what Homer Simpson is. You say, well, at least he's in the house. He's not a deadbeat dad. That's your new standard. Your standard used to be the best father ever. And it turned into, well, at least I'm not divorced. At least I'm not a drug addict. That's a successful family. Two dysfunctional parents who can't even get along with many of these shows. You don't even understand why they're even married. The wife seems to roll her eyes in this condescending kind of annoyance on every scene at her husband, and somehow still fucks him at the end of the show, accepts him for being this sorry, sad sack of a human. But we still love you, we accept you, and that's what's taught, is this total acceptance of all flaws. Used to be taught that you would better yourself at all costs. This all adds to the emasculation of the male, to get rid of manhood. I just saw a commercial the other day that disturbed me. You'll notice this stuff if you start looking for it. It's everywhere. The commercial was nothing. You've probably seen it. But it's just a good example of how they're playing us. This is what the new male has turned into. And it's a guy and a girl, mixed race couple. They're in a car, they pull into a parking space out in front of an establishment, which is like a check cashing place. And she is driving. That's the first thing you notice, emasculation. The man is in the passenger seat, she's driving. She says, I have to take care of some business and go get some money. She's going to be the earner. She's handling the business. She's providing. Emasculation, turning him into a child. He sits there, the man sits there in the passenger seat with his seatbelt on like a little boy does, as the car's not even moving anymore. Most people, when the car stops, they immediately take the seatbelt off. Not him. He sits there with the seatbelt on, kind of being goofy, complaining about how he doesn't want to waste 10 minutes with her to go and deal with whatever business she has to deal with. And he wishes that he could be playing. He wanted to go and get a pedicure. He wanted to have brunch and then take a bubble bath. And the guy is a big, strong guy. What kind of man takes bubble baths? I've never had a bubble bath in my life. What type of man gets pedicures? I've never had a pedicure. We'll never have a pedicure. It's not something that men do. If you've had one, maybe we need to have a talk. And I don't know any guys who even know what brunch is, who have brunch. Guys don't have brunch. We work. We don't have time for brunch. We're at work. It's just a stupid commercial. And you can be like, don't take it so serious, guys, it's a commercial. I know. But you start noticing that literally everything is promoting this same message of a weak little bitch of a man, a little boy. All our TV shows have been replaced with this theme. All our cartoons have been replaced with this theme. All our movies. Even the superheroes. Oh my God. Weaklings. They disgust me. I don't watch Marvel superhero bullshit. Those superheroes are weak losers. They're losers. I would never want to be one of those guys. I would never want my son to grow up to be Iron Man, that emasculated beta bitch. Or Spider-Man, that fucking little loser. Batman, that little whiny little brat. That have destroyed all men through the media. And then we wonder where some of this manipulation comes from. The media is really powerful, but one of the things that it really is bothersome is when we take that baton and run with it, like in a race, and you grab the baton and then you just run as fast as you can. That's the job of those racers, the relay race. I always think it's funny when someone drops the baton and it just ruins everything. It's all about timing. But we've done this as a society. We've been fed manipulative material that we could easily roll our eyes at and just say, nope, we're not buying that. And it would have been changed, but no, we bought into it. We allowed it. We had these attitudes like you have, where you say, well, what's the harm? And then it's infected our families. Even when the TV or the computer is off, you're acting this way. You've adopted a new set of values. You've allowed cancel culture and social justice to creep under the door like a fucking stench. I could rant on this topic for a long time, and the reason why I'm talking about it is simply because I care about the state of the American male, of the Western man, Western civilization, about manhood. We can't go on like this. We need to take manhood back, even if it's just a couple of us. Like in that movie 300, a couple of us could just stand together and say, you shall not pass. We're not letting you bitch beta motherfuckers take over the world. We're not going to allow it. Thanks for watching.